in these times, I realized that I have been personally underestimating so many values that I had. So
Mhm.
recently, I developed, or kind of found out that I can empathize with people in a better manner. So this pandemic, this lockdown made me realize this. So what
Mhm.
is that one thing that you have developed during this lockdown?
We
You
love you good.
know, my the value for human connection, right? I get from Delhi to Bangalore, I'll get from San Diego to Bangalore. And I realized that, now being separated from my wife and younger son are in Bangalore. I'm here with my older son. My parents are in Coorg. I realized that, I value these things a lot more than ever anything else, right?
You're
The
in San
power of,
Diego. Oh,
yeah, I'm
that's
in
why
San Diego.
9:30.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego, California. Yeah, so I'm here, and I
I have
realized
been
that
to
this.
P.F. Chang's.
Oh, okay, the restaurant. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, he's like
You
very
know,
Indian Chinese.
yeah, people
I mean,
like it
close,
there.
close. Much
Yeah.
better.
The
Lots
power
of
of
fun.
connection. I love my connection. I think connection with family, connection with friends is so important, and I realized that I
So,
will never compromise that.
so who's your, what's your favorite book? You have 3 favorite books that you'd like to
You know,
recommend to our readers.
My book's gonna keep changing. So if I really think about it, if people want to really look at strategy, just go back to the history, right? Arthashastra, right? And if you want to go back to look at art and cinema, go back to Natya Shastra, right? And I'm a big believer. And if you want to go back and read something, go back and read Plato and Socrates, the original books, right? Do not go back and read like the Reader's Digest version. Do not go back and read the new version. Just go back to the fundamentals. The fundamentals, they were easy reading. You got to grind it out, but it'll ground you, right? And people want a very quick reading. I would say Truth is a Pathless Land by Krishnamurti. Gives you that essence of, why you should question status quo, why you should kind of question everything around you. And those are the 4 books, I would say, of genre.
But give us some books like I'd say Tuesdays with Maury. I'd say Last Lecture by Randy Posh. I'd say,
So
The
I'm
Gifts
just
of
trying to,
Imperfection by Dr. Brené Brown.
so
So
since I'm right now in front of me, let me show you the 3 books I'm reading. Let me kind of pick that out. So I like this book, which I'm reading right now, How to Die, right? This is basically
Atul
destroy
Gawande.
foods. No, this is from Michael Greger, right? And
Okay.
basically this is
Atul
talks about,
Gawande writes these kind of books.
yeah, right. And this is a book I'm just reading right now, just because I'm in the US right
I have
now.
a very simple answer for that. How to die. Get married. Just kidding.
And then I
You're not
love.
married. Kavi, why are you laughing? It's not a comedy show. Okay. I'm not
Sorry,
kidding.
sir.
Okay. But
And The Hope Circuit by Martin Seligman, the father of
I have
positive
not read
psychology.
that.
Yeah, it's a
I have
very
not
good
read
book. And he talks about something called the PERMA
I have
framework,
not
which I
read
highly
these books.
recommend.
What was the second book you showed us?
A Nation in Crisis. This is, it talks about the education system, especially different sectors in the United States. I'm reading this because I want to really reinvent or try to reinvent education. Because I'm very
Can I
passionate
tell you,
about that.
every
Right.
Wednesday we do a Wednesday wisdom on education. So last Wednesday we talked about technology. And we have top class talent. They're
Right.
articulate, but they're also the best in that. Wednesday, the one you heard might be talking to Priya. Priya heads our education vertical. And Wednesday we have the University of Future. What is the University of Future? Do we need campuses? How do we grade? What do we do? Because suddenly this paradigm of having, what is the university?
What's the future of jobs with the gig economy? What's the future of work, right? So these are existential, fundamental questions. The 4-year degree is dead, right? You're going to hire a person. I mean, you're going to say, I want the person I hire people who have a PhD, right? That's the only people I hire. But my PhD is my PhD is different though. It's passion, hunger, and drive. How passionate are you, right? How hungry are you willing to go to follow that passion? And what's your drive, right? I did my company in India. I did a startup technology company with 200 engineers, and I hired people who had failed in engineering because nobody would want to hire them. But they had now had something to prove, right? Because we are always stuck with grades. Grades just made you mediocre. Grades is like the industrial age, right? When you have a factory system, right? It's okay, I want to look at the classroom. The classroom never changed. Before there was the blackboard, now we have a whiteboard with digital. You still have the teacher and you have 30 students sitting in the class, right? But how come when healthcare has become precision, it's got genome, microbiome, epigenome, how come healthcare still says ICSC, ISC, SA, PUC? It has to be precise. It has to be personalized. You got to, kids have to learn not math and science. Kids have to learn what is their superpower, right? Once they understand what is their superpower, then it is our job as society to make sure they get there, right? And I really believe education needs to be reformed, and now is the perfect time to do it, right? My son, who's 19, I don't care where he goes to college. He wants to be a pro athlete. The guy can play 4 instruments, five sports. He wants to forget. He is December 26th. Yeah. So November 27th. He's a musician, right? So, and I think he wants to be he wants to go to Berkeley School of Music. So I tell my wife, don't worry about having. I tell my wife, don't worry about daughters.
Spain. There's one in Valencia, right? There are 2 campuses. One in Europe.
I think yes. I know the one in Boston.
By the way, we started a business world of music. It's called Loudest.in, the business of music. We do a huge conference.
So on the business this is something for you to think about, right? So I really believe that music, art is going to heal the world, right? Because music therapy, art therapy, in the crisis we have right now, I think people are saying, that's why I mentioned read the Natya Shastra, because Natya Vedas had a prescription for grief, sorrow, anxiety, using the Navarasas, the 9 emotions, right? And we have to go back to some of these fundamental concepts which existed and adapted for the modern world.
How do you get comfortable with failure?
Because that has always been my best teacher, right? So every time I've failed, but when I look at failure, one day you fail, the next day you thank yourself for it, right? If you look at time as a non-linear construct, right? Time is not linear. So something happened today, but tomorrow you'll see a different perspective of it, right? So I believe that you should only look at failure as that moment, at that instance, but then look at the learning from it. The learning is always more. I've learned more from my failures than my success, right?
Of course, we always do. Because we look within, what did we do right? We introspect more. When we are successful, we just keep going.
But even for failure, for me, I don't put a negative connotation to it. I don't even do that. I just say it's just another milestone in my journey of life.
I say it like, it's not original. It's Randy Posh from the last lecture. Experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. So failure is a bit like experience. You didn't get what you wanted, but you got something. So it's experience.
It's all different shades of gray, right? When you're on the spectrum of life, one is joy and one is sadness. It's all just a spectrum, and then in between we kind of waver, right? So I think if you don't get kids into this failure. This is when I started looking at mental health. Kid gets 98%, is sad, upset, depressed, and then kids are jumping off buildings because they failed in one exam. Come on, in the exam of life, you really think that one exam is going to matter? Really?
By the tomorrow exam results are coming. Kavi, you got to play this tomorrow. Kavya, who's as old as my daughter, and she's outstanding at work, like you guys. She was worried. I said, don't worry. The kind of person you are, you will do well in life. I don't know her from Adam. I just know her mother. That also, I know her from internet, never met them. Like, I have no reason to say good things to them except what I experienced. So, I think you should play it tomorrow, You should edit, get it going.
You look at everybody who's failed. People think about Steve Jobs, he failed.
Cut those things, edit those things, where I'm saying all this, edit that.
No, I think, by the way, so I think what I like is that inherently people need to have humor and joy in their life. Hasya, right? Humor. When you stop, this is what happens. This is just one thing, right? When you become old in the body, you become stiff in the mind. So yoga asana kept you from being inflexible in the body mind. Children are putting their feet in their mouth, they're doing stuff, they're thinking infinite possibilities. Life is infinite possibilities, right? And Yoga Vasishtha said this, right? Infinite flexibility is the key to immortality. Right? And I think for us in life, infinite flexibility is the key too.
Brilliant. By the way, I have a PhD also. My PhD is a little different. It's permanent head damage. It's permanent head damage. I got it for emailing. I send more emails than anybody. This T2 will tell you. They miss my emails. If I for 1 hour don't, I think they must be feeling lonely. That way I'm like, yeah. But I have a bot called Botra. It sends out the mails. Botra, bot and Batra.
Love it, love it, love it, love it.
So in one of your interviews, you have mentioned that personal transformation is societal or social transformation,
Right.
directly or indirectly. So I just want to know, I mean, personally, I want to be the part of social transformation.
Right.
So how can a person like me or I would figure
Right.
it out that am I on the right path?
I mean, if you take Eastern philosophy, it says Aham Brahmasmi. Brahma is me, God is me, I'm in God. So right now, if you say you cannot transform the world if you don't transform yourself, right? So if you just do all the good you can in all the ways you can, as long as you ever can. People ask me what religion I follow. I tell my kids this. That's my mantra. Do all the good you can in all the ways you can, as long as you ever can. And if you just do that every day, because the only person you have control is you. You have no control of anybody. You don't have control of my wife, kids, your friend, father, no control, right? But the only control is I have over you. And as long as you're doing that, and that is your compass, it'll automatically happen, right? Every time you breathe, 10 to the power of 3 atoms are being breathed, right? So you're being breathed. Everybody's sharing the same breath. My energy, my intention is now, albeit remotely, being transmitted, and I'm feeling your energy. The future is going to be that, right? So your intention is going to manifest in the transformation. So don't even worry about what am I going to do. As long as your intention, I only tell people the only 3 things in life to be guaranteed success, 100%. A life of authenticity, living it with integrity, and always having a higher purpose, right? If those 3 things are there, everything you do something, you say authenticity, integrity, and higher purpose, guaranteed.
So now we have a secret formula: authenticity, integrity, and higher purpose.
Higher purpose. Anything
Like
you do,
that.
anything you do, anything you do.
Mr. Bhandari?
Sir, the monk who sold his Ferrari, we know all about that. So I would like to know about the warrior
By the
monk
way, I
who
know a
loves
lawyer
riding bikes.
who just wrote a piece called The Lawyer Who Sold His Scooter. It went viral.
I like that one. I like that one. The lawyer's called.
He's my lawyer. He's very close to it. Yeah.
So we all know the monk who sold his Ferrari. So I would like to know about the warrior monk who loves riding bikes and what
Right.
other hobbies you indulge in.
Yeah, so I love motorcycles. I just rode across. I went from Chandigarh to Leh Ladakh on my Bullet Royal Enfield. I love it. Motorcycles to me are my passion. I believe it connects me to people. It connects me to people on the ground. It also gets me to have this deep connection with the nature. So I love motorcycles all my life. I grew up in India riding motorcycles. My father was a retired police officer. Got introduced to Java, then Bullet.
By the way, Java is back in India.
I know.
My
I
friends
love
are
it.
making Java, yeah.
Yeah, so I love motorcycles because it really connects you. From my perspective, with just freedom, right? I feel the wind in my hair, and my ride all the way. I did it twice. I went up all the way up to all the typical ride from Chandigarh was amazing, and I did the trek. And I love nature. I did the Zanskar Chadar trek. I love that. So for me, connecting with nature, it really allows me to understand the magical, the majestic Himalayas, and how insignificant I am, right? In albeit a flash, it can change things. So that I really love. I love martial arts. I'm a passion, and Bruce Lee is my hero. And ever since
36 Temple of Shaolin.
Shaolin, yeah. And I went to the Shaolin Temple 2 years ago at Dengfeng, China, to pay my respects to it. And obviously, it started in Kallari in Kerala, right? Kallari Paitu is where the birth of martial arts is. Then it went across to China. People forget that it didn't start in China; it started in India. Went across the hills. And so I love martial arts. I love.
You're exactly like me. I take dangerous sports and all. I got married.
By the way, it definitely is something that it's an experience. But I am such a better man. I'm glad I'm married. Otherwise, I would be in trouble.
Yesterday evening, I was talking to my grandfather, Nana. So he was, insisting, or just kidding that let's get married in the next 2 years and all those things. And in this session, I'm getting the learnings from both the extremes.
Yeah.
One is happy, and I don't know about Dr. Batra.
I think marriage is.
I'm always happy.
Yeah.
When have you seen me not happy? I'm always excited. That you guys know. I'm always excited. I'm like, I'm into what I love what I do. You guys know.
So you're very
PhD.
optimistic.
I am. And that's what helped me all my life. I always stay optimistic.
Yes.
By the way, Poonacha, I keep saying, I'm a little younger, you
Right.
about 2 years younger than you. Look older, that's okay, it always helps me.
No, I think
But
we look exactly what we are.
no, it's okay. But I keep saying hope is not a plan.
Mhm. Yeah,
Tell
absolutely.
us.
That's why I clarified that when I was defining hope. I said,
Yeah.
if you don't give it the power to make it so, then it's just a wish. A hope has to have a plan.
So I have optimism, but I have a plan too, my friend.
Right.
This video transformation is part of that.
Right.
I made you work like mad, both of you especially. There are like 10 people who are like, I push you, right, Kavi? This should be done
Yes,
by
sir.
tomorrow. Why is this not done? And I'm grateful to you that I do it because I know you're capable of doing and you like doing and you'll be able to do. Right? Same for Resham. Look at what she put together on Friday. Right? She put together a huge event, like first event. Perfect. And this is what young people can do. See, it's about opportunity. When people get opportunity and they're sincere, they'll magic happen. And you hang over them a little bit.
You need to give them
We
a
are
spark. They
lucky
need
to have
leaders.
these opportunities. So
Yeah, so I think you being the leader, sparking it, right, igniting that spark. I mean, that's really all we can do.
Yes.
I mean, people
and the
ask me
other
today,
part is that leaders will have trust in us that we can do it. So that
So
is much bigger thing.
let me give you one secret. This is what I always tell people. You know what the biggest crisis we are in today? It's called the trust crisis. Trust is a crisis, and this is what I spend a lot of time with people on. And I have something I work with a friend of mine, Jeremy Klein, and we have what is called the trust formula. How do you build trust in a virtual environment? Now you're hiring people over Zoom. People are working for Ola and whatever the gig economy. And if you really think about it, there's one thing we can do as leaders and is really helping people build trust. Because people don't trust God, they don't trust religion, they don't trust leaders,
They don't trust themselves.
They don't trust themselves, right? So this is for business leaders, I give what I call a trust formula. I'll give you kind of Reader's Digest version of it. If we say, do I trust somebody? If you go to any leader, they'll say, I trust them, everybody trusts me. They go back and you ask the people who work for them. And this is the levers, right? One is, how transparent are they? Right? Is their public, private, and what are they thinking, what they're seeing, and what they're doing, and what they're feeling the same? How transparent are they? That's the first level. Second one, do they make and keep their promises? Right? You can only trust people who make and keep their promises. Right? 3, do they have expertise? You can't go to a gynecologist to have heart surgery and other way around. What expertise do they bring? And expertise is very important. Expertise in a marriage is important. Expertise as a CEO is important. Expertise in a business is important. That's the third level, expertise. And the fourth level is delegation. Great leaders delegate, like what you're doing, sir. It's like you're giving it to your younger generation, saying, go do this, come on, do that, delegate. People don't trust leaders who do not delegate, right? Then, so you take the T, the P, the E, and the D, and you multiply it by what I call the V factor. How much are they a team player? And divide by the me factor. How much is it their ego? And you come up with a number. And that's how you measure trust. And
So,
Beautiful. On the actions, they keep what is the role of intent? So sometimes I may promise something. When I promise something, I have full intent to do it. But how do you get people to see that the intent is good and the promise will happen, even if it's delayed?
So it's okay. So I think it's okay to go back, and that's very good question. When you say, you know what, you can come back and reset. I thought it was going to be 3 months, it's going to be 9 months. I got to renegotiate this one. Because great, when you make a promise, I tried it, didn't work, we got to reset. But what happens, as long as you come back and say, now it's going to be this, it is completely fine. So that's always, but be transparent about it. You know what, I thought when I did it, this is what it was. Now that I know more, this is what it is, right? So as long as you're transparent, you're keep your promises, you have the expertise, and you're willing to delegate, then we can create this trust index. And I go with corporations, I work with leaders along with Jeremy, and we say, if there's one thing we can change, what can we change, Poonacha? I say, change trust. Trust will save your relationship, save your business, save catastrophic loss in companies, right? Today, leaders have to go make changes overnight. The question they got to ask, do their teams trust them?
So
what do they do about it?
So I would like to say something. I'm not flattering my boss. This is about Dr. Batra. I always feel that he's a very strong person, because strong people are the only ones who lift others up. The weak people put others down.
Insecurity, like Dr. Batra said, we talked about, right? Scarcity consciousness and abundance consciousness.
Yes.
And Dr. Batra says, you know what? I'm reading every day. I'm enriching myself every day. I am, I'm having the time of my life. That becomes a superpower, by the way. Then
By the way, I
nothing is
think
going to
like
fit.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, this is what I wanted to do. I'm doing this. I wanted to be a TV star. I'm doing video interviews. I'm happy. I learned. Trust me,
Right.
I learned something from. I talked to Captain Raghu Raman yesterday.
Right.
Oh, what a lovely guy. I talked to Dipali Goenka yesterday. I mean, it's like I'm having fun. So and really these two guys are exceptional. I don't have to
Yeah.
say. They know that in the way I deal with them, the way that
No,
I
actually, I
engage
was.
with them.
I have to tell you. Obviously, Resham, I've not interacted directly with you, but what I've interacted with Kavi, I can build trust with him, because what he did was that he gave me a commitment. Then there was something. The Zoom wasn't happening. He came back and reset and said, "No, I think that it's getting delayed. I'm going to send it to you. Trust." Now I'm going. Even though I slept at 3:30 in the morning, I said at 9 o'clock is my call. I'm going to be there. I'm going to give my 100% because Kavi gave me his 100%. I'm going to give my 100%, right?
There is
That
small
was trust.
things matter. Small
Yeah.
things matter. I'm
Always
glad.
a small thing. The big things don't matter, by the way.
Yes, small big things
As,
matter.
as, as we were
So,
talking about, discussing about fear of losing jobs, in the
Yeah.
background of Corona, people are losing their jobs, or some of them are on the verge of losing their jobs. So, in these days, I am interacting with HR leaders of the industry. Last Friday, we had panel discussions. So, uh, they are the people officers who are tackling and dealing with people right away. So, how are they managing? Is there, point of the tension or stress?
so
So, what
how?
is that one advice you would love to give the HR leaders to tackle this situation?
See, Resham is
Authenticity,
asking you a
integrity, higher
question
purpose.
that she can play on her HR side. That's what she's doing.
Yeah. So,
So
like I
Kavi is
said, the
well-being with
principle.
HR.
Yeah. So, the two things we talked about, right? One is be authentic, have integrity, and talk about higher purpose, right? Just come
Right.
from that space. People can smell bullshit a mile away, right? If you are HR, if you put a really nice slide and say beautiful things, human energy, when somebody shows up, their energy shows up before they show up. When
Yes.
the human body never lies. I work with acting coaches, and this is what they always tell you: 70% is actually your body, right? Then another 20% is probably what you're saying, right? So what you're saying really doesn't matter. What you're thinking, feeling, doing, being is more important. So let HR people be more authentic, right? Can they have integrity in what they say and really be honest about it? People will sense it. People, if you're trustworthy, it doesn't matter what you say. People go to battle with you. That's the warrior. How many people go into war and say, "Come join me. You're going to die," right? So come, let's go to Cargill. We're going to die, and people go, right? So if you think about for leadership today, is to have the warrior spirit to go into a battle, albeit peaceful, with people along in their ranks. You got to trust them. You got to build trust, right? Without trust, forget what you say. It's all just useless.
I mean, I don't know what else to ask. I just want to ask if we had to do a live webinar with you and a couple of other leaders, is a Friday better, a Saturday better, or Sunday better?
Right now it doesn't even matter anymore because it's all kind of blended in, right? So I think it's just about getting the right date, right? And then I could make it work. So I'm kind of flexible.
We may
So
send you
just
a
let me.
request. I'm going to discuss with Kavi when to do the next one. I wanted to do on sleep, but I think we'll change that. We'll keep it a little later. Because so many people have problems sleeping, it's not funny.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, Ariana Huffington, wrote the book on sleep, right? And I think she
Yes.
made
I
sleep
met
very
her
popular.
in Nice. I met her in
Yeah.
Cannes 10 years back.
Yeah, and then she's obviously started the whole sleep revolution.
Thrive Global.
Yeah, Thrive Global. So yeah, so I think obviously everybody speaks about sleep. The question I go back, you got to be very focused on what exactly are we going to kind of focus on. But anyway, no, I'm really this is really delightful.
No, not on sleep. I'll bring you in. I don't know. It's at 5 p.m. on Wednesday Education. We have the UGC chairman. We have the AICT chairman.
Man.
We have the NAP chairman. We have the former AICT chairman who is now the vice chancellor of the university.
Mhm.
We have a very good lineup, right?
Right.
Education,
Yeah.
So I think we'll come back to you on things, but
Sure.
we'd love to collaborate more.
Absolutely, and like I said, now is time. India, for me, it's about giving back to my mother and motherland. I've learned a lot. India has taught me I'm who I am, and the principles have been, I would say stellar, right? The principles I grew up in and grew up with. It's something I take with me all through everything I do. It doesn't matter which part of the world I'm in.
What have you learned from your father?
Integrity.
What have you
My
learned from
father
your
was
mother?
kindness and compassion. Right?
What have you learned from your
Karuna.
What have you learned from your wife? Though you mentioned they are in Bangalore.
Sacrifice. Mother's sacrifice for children. Even though we are separated, the
What
sacrifice that.
What have you learned from your kids?
To be a child. Right? When they be youth, to kind of be in the lens, look at the world of infinite possibilities, and look at their lens, and so they keep me young. I realize that I find in them that the world is infinite, because they don't look at the world with constraints, and they're still thinking about it as infinite possibilities. And that's what I like hanging out with children and like Dr. Batra, because the world is truly infinite possibilities.
I am a headless, toothless infant. I'm not even a child. I say it jokingly, but that's true. I am like that. Good. And do you have any regrets in life?
I know that it's a
Have you
cliche
met
to say
Demi Moore? Have you met Demi Moore? I'm kidding.
No,
I
know
Demi Moore.
Kavi,
do you know Demi Moore?
Yes, sir.
Who's she?
An actress, sir.
What's the past? Sharon Stone.
Yes, sir. Basic instinct.
Yeah, Kavi, you're like, it's wrong, Harry. You shouldn't be doing that. Kidding. So what's your regret in life?
I have no regret. My only regret would be is that I wish I had spent more time with some people. I wish I had, some people who I lost. I wish I was there for them before they went away. I wish I'd spent more time with my grandfather. I hear the stories, and I wish. In fact, I want to start this show. I was talking to Shekhar Kapoor about this. We had this idea of starting the show called Mere Paas Maa Hai, and really recording every mother, grandmother's stories, recording it, just keeping it. And today, when some child is going to bed, just play it and just capture the story. Because when you look at Kur, my dialect is a spoken dialect, right? Probably with my father and mother, it's probably the last of that era, of that language and the purity.
I'll introduce you to my friend of mine. He's about 47, a year younger than me. He's now the head of YouTube, and he lives in Singapore. He was in Hong Kong. He's the one with whom I went to Cook to see his Rajesh Sheshadri.
Okay.
He's married to a Punjabi girl, Arlene. So I'll introduce you to Rajesh.
I would love to, yeah.
Yeah, he talk in your dialect. Yeah. So to say, yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Mere paas maa hai, I'll tell you. I have an idea on that, but another day. Kavi, your questions?
No, sir.
No, sir. Who do you like more, Sharon Stone or Demi Moore?
Sir.
Okay, Poonacha, what's your favorite movie? You said you learn from movies, books, music.
I really like Bandit Queen. I spent a lot of time decoded that. Sitting with Shekhar and watching it with him was so much more meaningful because he actually walked me through his mindset. So I would say, as a genre, I love Gandhi.
Of course, Richard Attenborough.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think I'm maybe an old soul.
They showed it. They took me on a school trip to watch Gandhi.
Right. So I think these are, and then
Gandhi came out in 83 or what, 84 or 83, 82 or 83.
And then if you ask me, I love the Godfather series. If you
of course,
those are kind of legendary from my perspective.
What's your view on Donald Trump? I know you're in the US, but what's your view on Donald Trump? He's creating too much optimism, which may be false. It may be fantasy.
I am not too much into politics, but I don't get politics a whole lot, right? So I think I stay away from it. I believe every leader is a representation of a collective consciousness, right? So the good, the bad, the diabolical is nothing but a reflection of a collective consciousness, right? He is who he is because we elected him. So instead of pointing at him, we should point at the collective consciousness.
If you ever had a TV show, if you had to get 5 guests on it, who would they be?
Oh wow, that's I would say Alexander, right? Okay. The great. I would say Gandhi. I would say Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
I would say Hitler.
Fourth, that's four. Fifth, no women.
I
Margaret
would say
Thatcher.
no, Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi would be, fascinating, right?
Kavi, if you had a TV show, which 5 actresses would you get?
So, so Bollywood or Hollywood?
Choose, yeah, up to you.
So I think Aishwarya Rai, Sonam Kapoor, um, uh, I can't think of any more right now. So.
Good. I think we must close it. I think we've had. And, we'll talk to you more. I just want to ask you one question.
Mm-hmm.
You said that my first 25 years were about learning. Next 25 years about earning, and I've heard this before.
Right.
And now my life, next 25 is about giving back. If we were to talk to you in 10 years from now, what would have you achieved? Or what would you like to achieve? And you know that the universe matters, the intention matters. What you plant happens.
Yeah, so everything I do, in fact, I just released my app yesterday. I want us to be more kinder.
Yeah, he sent me that message.
Yeah, more kinder, more tender, more compassionate. I joke and I say the world doesn't need Tinder, it needs tender. Karuna is an Indian word. Karuna is compassion.
Anyway, Tinder and tender don't go hand in hand. You can figure that out.
Yeah. So what I want to see more kinder, compassionate. I want us to start taking care of each other. Sangha. I really believe in communities coming together, that some magic will happen. I want to be relentless in that. I really want us to get to connect with people, with really helping each other out. In 10 years from now, it doesn't matter. I think already making progress. If it's 1 or million or 10, it's relative. That's just a story, right? The very fact that I can make a difference even to my children or to myself, that's good. But that's my journey, right? That's my journey.
What's your favorite line that you say every day to yourself, to others?
Krishnamurti. I like. First, I say truth is a pathless land. So today, I'm going to find my own truth, right? And it's going to evolve from yesterday. But I always remind myself this statement: comparison, conformity, conflict. To always not live in a life with don't compare, don't conform, don't have conflict.
Good. Poonacha, it's been good talking to you.
You too.
On a Sunday evening, you have a style. It brought back my energy in the first 5 minutes. Thank you for Kavi for setting